Alright, I decided that even though I got the carb kit from CB, I'm gonna just double check the float level. So I kind of Googled this and just to see exactly how you do it. So I've taken this apart, and to be very careful with the paper gasket that's underneath, just to take this guy off. You can even hear the paper gasket there. It kind of hooks up on it hangs up on the threads. So you just have to very carefully pull this off. Okay, so then on this one, you can see that here's my float. And then what I have here is, it's right there. And it looks like and then that compresses the spring. So it's before it compresses the spring. So there's kind of three positions. There's like float all the way down, float here before it compresses the spring, and then it compresses the spring. So right there is the measurement that we want. Somewhere between 10 and 14. I lost my caliper, I don't know where it is, so I'm just gonna measure it using this ruler. So it's right there. And that is, I don't know if you can see it, but it's about 12. Yeah, it's about 12 millimeters. So that's good. I'm gonna leave it at that. Honestly, I didn't really want to change anything. I just wanted to confirm that it wasn't messed up in any way from the factory. All right. So that's the first one, and I'll go ahead and repeat this on the second one. All right, I got the first one fully reassembled here. Just checking the float levels on the second one. So again, I just want to pull this thing up without damaging the paper gasket. It seems to be coming up here pretty good. Okay, so the float level on this one, I'm just allowing this to just that level right there. It looks good. I mean, it already looks good. So I'm just going to measure this thing right here. Seems exactly the same as the other one, which is 12 millimeters. So this piece of paper here from CB and Weber says 14 millimeters. When you look on the web, it'll say 10 millimeters. This one is sitting at 12 millimeters, and I'm just going to call that a win. This surface doesn't look that great, but I'm just gonna, it has the paper gasket here, so I'm just gonna close this back up, and we'll call it a win at 12 millimeters float level. All right, that's it for the floats. I guess I can time lapse putting this thing back together. So All right, and there it's all back together. Floats checked, they're all 12 millimeters. So we're just gonna go with 12. So anyway, that was a bit of a useless exercise because they were already set properly, but at least I have peace of mind knowing when I install these that the floats are set properly, because on my 40s, basically what would happen is they would periodically just leak a tiny bit, and I kept thinking, well, maybe I didn't check the floats on those. Maybe it's because the float is set to let in a little bit too much fuel, and then it gets a little too high, and then when it's really hot, maybe it boils the fuel and gets the fuel coming out. So what I'm going to do on these is now I have the float set at 12 millimeters. I think I'm going to use the spacers, which is supposed to buffer the heat from getting to the carb, and hopefully that will keep these 44s from ever leaking or dripping out the fuel once I get the 2332 motor working. All right, one more thing I wanted to show is that, so normally you would use one of these felt gaskets for the underside of this, and that's what I have on my other one, and I may use that on this. But the other thing is that I bought these, what are spacers, and they look like this. They're basically like a neoprene spacer for the that goes there instead of those valves. Instead of those gaskets. And what it does is it's supposed to keep the heat from getting to the carbs, and I need to figure out if I'm going to use the felt or if I'm going to use these. If you use these, I think you're supposed to only use these, and that is to say you don't combine this with this, but then these would go here instead of the, I'm trying to think, that even looks like it's, yeah, these are specific to the 40s. So they have a slightly smaller diameter, so I'm not going to use those. I'll probably will put these on the 1968 that use the 40s, or I need to order some of these that are for 44s, because if you look at this, it is not a big enough sort of aperture for that. So won't be using this on the 44s. All right. But these are perfect.